I see some familiar faces from last year too. A show of hands, how many people were here last year? Oh, a good amount. Such a good amount. Some of the slides are going to be a bit of a review from my presentation last year, just to get everybody kind of caught up to speed. And we think it's a really important thing just to know kind of the background as to, just cognitive rehabilitation, therapy, neuroplasticity, and how those things go in conjunction with working on memory. So I'm Katie. This is my coworker, Ziggy. She is a speech and language pathologist and cognitive rehabilitation therapist at Brooks with me. Similar to what I talked about last year, we work in a comprehensive brain injury day treatment program. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We have group and individual therapies, and Ziggy also does individual cognitive rehabilitation therapy in an outpatient setting as well. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about some research findings regarding memory after a diagnosis of encephalitis. We're going to talk about cognitive rehabilitation therapy. We're going to identify memory processes and discuss tools and strategies that can help. And we really want this to be more laid back and informal, and we want to help you guys. We're going to teach general strategies, but we also would love to kind of dive into some specific strategies for you guys as well. So if you have questions throughout at all, please feel free to ask. All right, so how many in this room have found themselves repeating themselves at times and not necessarily even realizing it? Missing appointments? Forgetting to take medication? Yes. Maybe difficulty or an inability to manage finances, or even sometimes having difficulty maintaining relationships. All of these things can be, tied back and attributed to difficulties with memory. And so we wanted to give a few of these examples, just kind of as a prompt for you guys. You're not alone, but just as a prompt for you guys. On the table, there should be little sheets of paper that look like this. And we would love it if on the back, if you have any personal difficulties that you're finding with memory, specific things that you can write down on these sheets of paper, and we're gonna collect them at the end, and we really, like I said, wanna make it interactive and personal to you guys. So any specific memory breakdowns and or questions regarding memory, take a few minutes to write those down now.
In your doctor's appointment.
So you can use any strategies except for writing them down. You may not write them down.
But thank you for asking, good idea.
Yes, it's an excellent idea.
All right, so we've got.
Oh man, or taking a picture. I
Also
love it,
brilliant.
guys. Y'all are great. Y'all clearly have some good strategies in place. I love it.
You guys got it?
Yes.
Okay. So anytime that we talk about memory and cognitive rehab, I think it's really important to talk about research, because it's always changing and things are always updating. So I have reported 3 different research articles. I know you guys probably already know a lot of this, but the first one in 2022 talked about cognitive deficits in patients with anti-LGI-1 encephalitis. And it was very common, right, to have memory impairments with this particular diagnosis. We know that, but the article talked about, does that still persist after time? So I think after about 9 months, they did a reassessment, found there's still some cognitive deficits. I'm sure you guys are like, yes. Then the second article in 2021 talked about patients with acute encephalitis syndrome. And they looked at the cognitive performance of patients who were admitted to the hospital, at discharge from the hospital, and then follow-up from the hospital, I think a few months. And they found that the outcomes were significantly better, cognitive improvements, once receiving that active treatment. The other article, the last one I have listed, Harris 2020, talked about the varying cognitive performances of patients according to their etiology, whether it's HSV is one diagnosis they looked at, Autoimmune cause was the other. And then the third was just unknown cause encephalitis. And they looked at the cognitive testing, I think about a little after discharge from the hospital, about 9 months post-discharge, and then a year post-discharge. And they looked at the difference in the testing results. They found improvements, which is awesome. They found that a lot of these, almost across the board, there were some improvements in the cognitive functioning. Memory still persisted. It was very common for some cognitive deficits to still be there. You guys, yes, we know this. But the positive was that they found improvements over time, which is great. So, knowing this, which, you guys know, we're going to talk about what can we do to help you guys? What information do we have? So we know as therapists, this isn't just like okay, you're better now, right? So we got to work it a little bit. We got to figure out what can we do to help push this improvement along. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of neuroplasticity, but this is why we have a job. Neuroplasticity, our brains are plastic. They can adapt and change with time. Thank God. So even after that injury, the brain can set up new connections between neurons that carry messages. It's likely to occur with lots of stimulus, lots of meaning, lots of practice. It doesn't occur without exposure, those stimulating environments, prompts for the brain. And so that's kind of where we come into play, and that's why we do what we do. So we help provide as much of that exposure and stimulus as we can where we work. But also that's rehabilitation and the idea of improving and adapting.
And so I think, those of you that heard me talk last year, I give that analogy or the example of my drive to work to help explain neuroplasticity, because neuroplasticity might be a new term to individuals. And so since this is a memory workshop, right, I think it's important to kind of show how we can implement these memory strategies to help learn a new concept, right? So I liken the idea of neuroplasticity to my drive to work. I have worked at Brooks for 18 years. So I know my drive to work like the back of my hand. I get on autopilot, right? Some days I'll pull into the parking lot and I'm like, please, I hope I didn't run a red light, because you can do it without thinking, right? So one day if I go to work and the road that I use is shut down, can I still get to work? I can. And so I just have to go an alternate route, right? I'm going to have to use strategies. I'm going to have to pull out Waze, or I guess paper maps are antiquated now, but I'm going to have to use strategies, right, to get to work. And it's probably going to take me longer. And I'm not going to be able to do it automatically. But eventually, if that first route of mine is permanently shut down, that new route can become that new preferred pathway for me, right? And so that really is how neuroplasticity in therapy works. There may be, routes in our brain that have been shut down, but it's stimulating the brain to kind of activate new routes to try to help to guide us.
And hopefully with time, it becomes more automatic and easier, right? So that's what we do for cognitive rehabilitation therapy. It's the process of relearning cognitive skills that have been lost or altered as a result of damage or altered brain chemistry. If skills can't be relearned, then new ones have to be taught, and we want to help people to compensate for that loss. What can we do if the brain is breaking down? What other ways can we help? So we know cognitive rehabilitation is important because cognitive problems exist after encephalitis? No way. These problems tend to persist. They tend to resolve later than physical problems for most people. Some people look fine. They act like you look at you on the street and everyone thinks you're fine. You guys know this. It looks invisible. It seems like you're invisible, that these impairments are still there, and it's kind of hard to notice or for others to see. It can definitely impact return to work. It can impact relationships. So our goal is improving that ability for you guys to carry out everyday tasks, day-to-day functions.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit today, or a lot today, about the different types of memory, okay? So there are a lot of different types of memory, and we have listed some of them up here. There's immediate memory. That's memory that is like in the moment, right? It's repeating a telephone number long enough to like dial it on your phone, okay? Then there's working memory. Working memory would be like getting something from the other room. So like getting up from the couch and walking into the kitchen and being like, oh, what did I come in here for? Holding on to that information. There's short-term, recent, or delayed memory. Sometimes those are used interchangeably. That would be recalling what you ate for dinner last night. Prospective memory is an interesting type of memory because it's memory for something that hasn't happened yet. So it's memory for something future or upcoming, so remembering that you have an upcoming medical appointment. There's procedural memory. That's something that kind of can happen to, sometimes it bypasses conscious control. It's step-like, okay? So it's a procedure. So recalling the steps to make coffee or brush your teeth. And then there's long-term or remote memory. Those are memories for like your childhood memory, for facts and figures, things that you learned a long time ago, okay?
Real quick.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys feel like there's one particular one of these that stands out to you as the most challenging? Does anybody mind sharing? Immediate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Names and faces. Long term?
Okay. Yeah.
Short term? Okay. That's across the board.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those different kinds of memory. Go ahead.
It does. We're going to talk about that.
When? She said when.
When? We'll talk about that. Yes, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Did you have something? Short term, yeah. So I love the question because that leads into this, which is the actual process of memory. I think sometimes for individuals, when memory like works, you just think, oh, I saw it, I remembered it, or I ate it and I remembered it, right? But it's really quite a process, okay? So the memory process is the ability to encode, store, and retrieve information for later use, and you have to be able to do all of those things, right? So the first stage of memory is attention. So in order to remember anything, you have to first have paid attention to what was being presented, okay? And while I explain these steps, I'm gonna, surprise, use another analogy, okay? Because it's gonna help make this stick, I think. So how many people in here have worked at a computer before? I would imagine most anybody, right? All right, so I'm gonna use an analogy of a computer to help explain the memory process. So in order to do anything at the computer, what do I have to do to that computer first? Have to turn it on, right? All right, so that's attention, right? We have to have that computer turned on and focused in order for anything to happen, all right? So the second stage of memory is what's called encoding, and that's the registration of information at the time of learning. So in my computer analogy, I want you guys to think about that would be typing information into a Word document. Okay, so the computer's on and I'm typing information into that document. All right, just because I typed the information into that document, am I guaranteed it's gonna be there? No, what do I have to do? I have to save it, right? So that's that next step, all right? It's storage, so it's saving the information, okay? And when I save it, I need to make sure that I save it appropriately, right? Because has anybody just pressed save as before and then you can't ever find that document again because it's the, right? And then if you press save as, it's always gonna be the first word of a document. So you'd have a million documents that are labeled the, and it would be really hard to find that document, okay? So it's saving it and saving it appropriately. The next stage is consolidation. That's where we practice and rehearse rehearse information. That's where we're really starting to lay down that short-term memory into long-term memory, okay? Because we're thinking about it, we're rehearsing it, we're practicing it. So in my computer analogy, I may be going to look for a document on, I don't know, golden retrievers, but I happen to see all the other documents that I've written, okay? So I'm even subconsciously practicing and rehearsing information. And then finally, if I've done all of those steps, I then would be able to go back and pull that document up that I am looking for. And that's retrieval, which is accessing, the information that's stored. There can be breakdowns in any one of these steps.
Or multiple.
Okay. Or multiple, exactly. And so it's helpful to try to figure out where those breakdowns are so that you can really work on those steps, which we're going to talk about. All right. But before we talk about that, I did want to bring up the concept of amnesia, okay? I'm sure a lot of you people in here have heard this term before. And amnesia is the true absence or lack of memory, okay? And at times after a neurological event, an individual may experience this phenomenon. And with amnesia, true amnesia, it's a breakdown in one of those steps in the memory process, and it's common for individuals to never retrieve those memories again, okay? And I think it's important just to touch on that because there may be memories that are not able to be accessed. And I think that's very unsettling, and I know that Ziggy and I, when we work with individuals, it's very unsettling to think there's like a period of time that you just don't remember. And so I think understanding and knowing that
It's
it's
okay.
important.
It's just part of. I mean, you're not alone. I think it's not fun, but I also don't. I want you guys need to know you're not alone, and that is just kind of a common phenomenon.
Okay, so does anyone think that they can recall those 4 words? And if so, actually, can everybody try to write down what they remember? Do y'all have something you can write it down? That's okay. That's okay. We didn't tell you they had to be in the exact same order.
Do we? I don't know. Look at him. He's ready. He's ready.
You are ready to go. You are ready.
Do you know all 4? Do you know all 4?
I know all 4.
Okay, give them to us.
We've got a elephant on a green couch rolling down the highway.
Yeah.
I love it. Good job. That's fantastic. How many people remembered all 4 of those words? Good job, guys. How many people had the exact same story that he did? Okay, quite a few. Did anybody else use anything different? Yeah, let's hear it.
I kind of like get off the couch, get off the highway, stay green, and get off the elephant.
Okay. Get up and move, basically. I like it. Yeah. Good. Anybody else use anything different? Yeah.
Green couch with an elephant on the highway.
A green couch with an elephant on the highway. What a road stop or roadblock, right? How about you?
I love driving down the highway. Right now, I'm as big as an elephant.
And green's your favorite color. I love it. You are not as big as an elephant, though.
Small.
Yeah.
At my speech therapy, they taught us this little acronym when we want to remember things.
Okay.
It's entitled CRAVE.
Okay.
CRAVE. So each letter has, her name was Sasha at the time. She would say that I was very familiar with the one for R, which is repetition.
Love it.
So the first one being you construct a story or you categorize a story. C. The second one being R, you repeat it, which is something she stressed I tend to do a lot. The third letter being A, you associate it with something. I saw this PowerPoint at what? A conference. And then V, you visualize it. Okay, I just left the bathroom. When I left, I made a left. Okay, so when I come back, I make a right. You visualize your way. And then E for elaborate. You tell a story, like how you were just doing with the letter, or how one of my fellow colleagues was doing with the story. Mom, too, exactly. So again, Craig, C-R-A-E.
Do you want to come up here and do
I
this?
know, right? I'm like, maybe. Yeah, I
Because
agree.
you, that was great.
You're doing so good.
But you can help us. An awesome memory for holding on to all of that information and being able to relay it and share it. Thank you.
Somebody makes me study it after the session. Okay, what did you learn? Let's study it together.
Oh,
That's a good mom right there. I love it. I love it. Good job, guys.
okay, so new task. Now we have names and faces. Somebody said names and faces are hard, right?
So in honor of Super Bowl Sunday, which is today, we chose 3 of apparently the rookies of the NFL this year.
Yeah.
Exactly, total strangers to some of us. Okay?
But that's real life. That's functional,
Right.
right? We're going to meet lots of strangers, especially in a situation like this, if you've never been to a conference like this before.
Right, right. All right, so our first individual is Bo Nix, War Eagle. I'm an Auburn girl. All right, he's the Denver Broncos quarterback. All right.
Did you hear that, Boo?
I did hear the boo. But I don't think that was against Auburn, so I'm okay with it. All of the above, if you can. All of the above.
I always tell people to try to focus on the name, but sometimes that other information can help you remember their names. So we're giving you a little bit of extra, which may seem like you have to remember more, but maybe use it to try to help you.
Absolutely. Then we have Xavier Worthy. He plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's a wide receiver. And finally, we have Will Shipley, who plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, because we don't discriminate against who you're cheering for today, and he's a running back.
Any ideas on how we can remember these names to faces? If not, that's okay. Yeah?
The Eagles running back looks sad because he's going to lose.
I love it. I love it.
So they're going to ship him out, right? For Shipley.
I
will ship him out.
I love it. I love it. On an eagle.
Bo Nix can't even play in the Super Bowl. I don't even know why he's up.
That's right. We had to throw somebody random in there.
Yeah, make it a little...
Yeah, you can nix his name. He has been nixed from the Super Bowl. Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
So
Fox and
Nix.
Nix. Yeah, Box. Yeah. Oh, Box. Yeah. Absolutely.
Somebody's...
I like it. He is
My gosh,
worthy
I
of
love
a
you
Super
guys.
Bowl trophy. Excellent. All right.
Okay.
This is just like a real time, real thing that just happened. So Will Shipley for the Eagles, in my brain I'm like, okay, who's Will Shipley? And I'm going, he's the backup to, or whatever, to the guy we all know, but I couldn't remember his name. And then it finally came back, like a couple of Saquon Barkley. But there's that whole like process.
The process. Yeah. Yeah.
But it came eventually.
For Saquon Barkley, who everybody knows, right?
I don't actually.
But it came eventually, right? It came eventually? Did you eventually think of Saquon? Yeah. It just takes a hot minute, right? It's like, what? How do I not remember that? And I think a part of that is don't get too wrapped up in that it's not there. Like, relax. Know it'll come to you. You know what I mean? And because the more worried and more anxious you get about the fact that it's not there, the harder it's going to be to retrieve. That's just
Yes.
my thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. It does.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Becky.
I make mine into a story like the elephant that's green sitting on the highway on a couch. Is he going to run back for a donut at Shipley's?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I made him into a story.
I like that. That's so good. So good. Yeah.
What if you don't have time to make the story? That's the key. Social setting,
Yeah,
remembering a name just like that, they know you're in the
it's a good question. Can we come back to that?
Yeah,
Remember
yeah,
this?
yeah.
We'll come
Yes.
back to that. We're going to
Yes.
move forward a little bit, okay, guys?
Yes.
Good stuff. Thank you. So when it comes to strategies, like you guys are discussing, what to do, what to use, we as clinicians like to think of two different types, internal versus external strategies. We asked you guys to not write down those 4 words or to not take a picture. Those were using external strategies, using something like an object, like a timer or a calendar, okay? The internal strategies are the things you guys are doing right now. If you can't write it down, if you don't have a way to look at it or take a picture, what can you do in your head to help you remember, okay? So we're going to talk about both different kinds of strategies, but I wanted to kind of discuss both because I think we're so used to using external strategies. That's amazing. Let's use them. Let's do everything we can. But also there are internal strategies, which are harder and take a little bit more practice with trying to become efficient with. So we'll talk about all of these. Back to that memory processes slide that we discussed that Katie talked about earlier, using that analogy of the computer and how we have to attend, encode, store, consolidate, and retrieve. We're going to discuss each of these stages and different strategies that could help with each stage, okay? So the first one, I personally find it is one of the most important ones, is attention. So many of my patients come to me and say their memory isn't working, and then when I really get to know them, I realize, well, you're not really able to attend as well as you could. So maybe let's work on attention, and if your intention can improve, then your memory will likely as well, right? Because this is the first step. So really understanding how much your focus and your attention can play a role in this. If you're distracted because there's noises or things going on around you, what about internal distractions? You're hungry, you're in pain, you don't feel good, you're stressed. All of those things are going to play a role in how you're able to attend. And so that's going to make it harder. The more you're kind of aware of those distractions, you can work through them. And that's kind of where you have to kind of effortfully tell yourself, I have to intentionally listen. I have to try to block out those things and focus. Or maybe you just need to step away, right? Because you know you need to go grab something to eat or drink because you're distracted by that. Or you need to go take a break, take some meds, and come back to it because you know you're in pain and you're distracted by that. So breaks are huge. Knowing when you need to take those breaks can help you kind of maintain that focus so you're not losing track over time. I also tell patients all the time, they look at me like I'm crazy, say it out loud, talk out loud. And they're like, no, man, people are going to think I'm crazy. Who cares? If it helps you remember, that's their problem. Talking out loud can really help you, remember, but also focus on what you're wanting to remember, which is important in this step. Know the best time of day, just like how you know, kind of trying to be aware of the fact that you're distracted, knowing I am not a morning person, and if I can avoid making a doctor's appointment first thing in the morning, I'm gonna try, because I know I'm not the best at that time of the day. I know my attention is best from like 10:30 to 2 every day, like midday.
You've got her in her prime, guys.
So I'm less likely to forget or be distracted or struggle to communicate because I am better at that time. If you guys can figure that out, that might help you, because then also you can try to schedule and or do things at home where you know you really want to be able to remember, like schedule, like an appointment or time to meet with your friends or, those kinds of things that are important to you. even home things like taxes, you know? Gaining control is speaking up. I'm sorry, I totally got distracted. Can you say that again? People don't want to do that, and I get that because you don't want to be rude, but it's also saying I care. I care enough to speak up and humbly say, I missed it, and I forgot it. You guys asked us to repeat things after we already gave you the instructions. Props to you, because you were able to gain control and say, hey, I need that again. That's what will be helpful. Just like distractions, good sleep. I know sleep is difficult a lot of times, and making sure that that's something that you talk to your doctors about and try to figure out how to work through good sleep. The better sleep you have, the more likely you're going to attend. If you aren't getting good sleep, maybe that's where you take more breaks or come back to it a different day because you have that, you know that's just going to affect your focus. And personally, I like to use incentives. At the end of a long day, when I've had, a 10-hour work day and I got to finish my notes, that's the last thing I want to do. So I will tell myself, if I can get this done, I'm going to go grab a piece of chocolate from Dr. Adio's office. Or I'm going to stop and grab some food for myself on the way home instead of having leftovers. So sometimes it's helpful to reward yourself or come up with something that's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel to help you stick with it. And again, I know we're talking a lot about attention. This is a memory workshop, but it's a huge part of memory. Any questions so far? Thank you guys for your attention.
Oh, so good, so good, so good. All right, so after we have turned that computer on, right, this is where information is being presented to us, okay? So this is registration of information at the time of learning, okay? So some of the strategies that we can use would be simplifying the information. So that's just reducing the amount of information that's being presented at any given time. And again, that may be easier said than done when you're having somebody present a lot of information at you, right? But kind of recognizing that and maybe stop checking, you know what I mean? Okay, so what I heard you say was this. All right, let's move on. So trying to incorporate that simplification as best you can. Verifying the information goes hand in hand with that. So that's making sure that the information that you heard is accurate, okay? So you're asking those questions back and verifying, is this right? Associations. I think a lot of y'all clearly already used that, right? We talked through that with making associations for new information to information that's maybe new, or trying to associate two pieces of information together so that you can remember both of them later on. Similar to simplifying, little and often. Like Ziggy talked about with taking breaks, that is one of the biggest strategies that I really I preach it till the cows come home. Because a break doesn't have to mean I'm gonna get to go take a nap. A break can be just short, little breaks, okay? And then the more you have exposure to that information, little and often, fantastic. Categorizing information. So if I'm going to the grocery store and I have a list of 16 items, that's pretty overwhelming. But if I'm able to categorize those items into dairy, freezer, paper products, home goods, those kind of things, it'll be easier to remember. So categorizing information. Visual imagery, so really imagining that elephant sitting on that couch. Visualizing information, creating a story, which again, y'all did a great job with. Chunking information, that's done naturally for us in some ways. Like for example, our social security numbers are chunked into 3 parts, right? Telephone numbers are chunked into smaller parts. So seeing if you can incorporate that in other areas as well. PQRST strategies, that's a strategy for remembering written information where you preview information, you question what you're about to read, you actually then read the information, you state the answers to those questions that you came up with, and then you test yourself later on. Predictability and routine. Routine, routine, routine. The more you can make something habitual, the easier it is to remember. Asking questions to find meaning, using mnemonics. Anybody in here ever heard
He did it with Crave.
Oh, he did. Crave. He did a perfect one with that.
Crave,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Or never eat soggy waffles. Never eat shredded wheat. Anybody? Anybody? Northeast, Southwest. Yeah, exactly. Any musicians in here? Every good boy does fine? Yes, and face, exactly. So these mnemonics really can help. And then pegging systems, which we're going to go into more detail with later on. So other types of strategies, these would be more of those external strategies that help with encoding, writing information down, right? Writing information down is so crucial and key, and using memory books, but it's not just writing it down and then never looking at it again, right? You have to write it down and then you refer back to it to help with that process. Planners and schedules, using Post-it notes, alarms, lists, whiteboards, our smartphones and devices can do so much for us. And then adaptation of your environment. So making sure, you know, when you walk in the door that there's a bowl where you put your keys. Every time you come in, you put your keys in that bowl. Things like that to really help with encoding. Questions?
It was a lot of
It was a
information.
lot, I know.
That one is, there's a lot of different things our brain can do for encoding. And then like Katie was saying, not just writing it down isn't enough, right? We have to be able to settle it, remember that, make it stick. I like to think of this as, okay, we've got it, but now let's stick it to our brain. We got to be able to consolidate it. And that's where repetition, rehearsing it, practicing it, quizzing yourself. I think this is difficult to do when you're on the go. Kind of like your question is, you meet somebody new and it's hard in the moment to come up with a strategy quick enough and then be able to remember to come back to it. It's a tough one. And I think that sometimes that's where the information can kind of fly away. And I think that's also where maybe loved ones or caregivers can help jump in too and kind of remind you, like, what was that person's name or what was the strategy you used for that? And maybe you try to quiz yourself, or you write it down and you keep looking at it. You put it in your phone and you keep looking at it, because that repetition is going to really help it stick. Increasing intervals over time, this is kind of where you look at it as much as you can initially and then kind of let time pass, look at it again, let a little bit of a longer time pass. There's lots of research behind the idea of, you know, looking at it and then looking at it and then looking at it a little bit later. This increasing intervals is really helpful.
All right, so retrieval, which is accessing that information once it's stored. So I used the example earlier on about like sitting on the couch and then getting up to go to the kitchen, and I'm like, what did I come in here for? Am I the only one that happens to? Yeah. I'm like, what am I here for? And then I go sit back down on the couch and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta preheat the oven, right? So retracing the events leading up to it, that can be mentally retracing and or physically retracing those events. Trying to put yourself back into the context of where you were when you received the information or learned the information. So thinking of like the place, the time of day, who was there. Relating to a similar mood. This isn't always easy, but it shows, research shows that if we learn something when we're tired, we recall it better when we're tired. When we learn something when we're happy, we recall it better when we're happy. Those similar states of mind and mood are helpful in accessing and retrieving information. Using first letter prompts or alphabetical searching. I don't know if any of you guys have had that experience where you're seeing somebody, you know their name, but it's just not coming to you. They're the running back, wide receiver, I don't remember which one it was, but you are like trying to think through the alphabet, A, B, C, D. Oh yeah, his name was Doug. So that can help if that information was in there to begin with. Speaking of, all right, so
We made it harder on you guys.
We made it harder, but also we wanted to illustrate a point. There might be something that's easier for you. So I like that. There are now 6 guys on the screen. 3 of them are ones that we showed you. 3 of them are not, okay? So write down for us which numbers we showed you, and if you can remember any of the details about them, like their names, their teams, or their positions. All right. Does anybody think they remember? Oh, I see a hand. All right, give us one of the individuals. You want to do all three? Do all three. I love it. Yes, do it. 1, 3, and 5. Perfect. I love it. Okay, so perfect. It was 1, 3, and 5, and you were 100% right. 5 is not going to the Super Bowl. Does anybody remember what team 5 played for? Yeah, go. The Broncos. Good. Remember his name? Bo Nix. And what position is he? Quarterback. Excellent. Good job. All right, what about number 1? What was his name? Xavier Worthy. What team does he play for? Chiefs. And his position? Excellent. And what about 3? Sad 3. Good job. Eagles. And his position? I love it. Good job, y'all. And so what we also did here by putting these other names in here is we showed the difference between recall and recognition, okay? Was it easier to remember if you saw the face or easier to remember the name? Saw the face, right? So that's recognition, right? That it's in there and we see it and we recognize it, and that is an easier process than straight up recall, which would be recalling all of those specifics about the individuals. Y'all did great. Impressed. Okay, so here's our dilemma, our conundrum. It's 12:04, and I think we're supposed to end at 12:15. Is that right? 12. Oh, at 12? We're already over. Oh, heavens. 12:15?
Oh, 12:15?
We've got till 12:30? Yes. Okay. We're fine? Okay. That's what we're doing? Okay. So y'all have really good questions in here too, which I want to make sure that we get to. And we're happy to stay over lunch and we can kind of talk about specific things as well. But we wanted to teach you guys a strategy, and it'll be on the fly for Ziggy and I. That was a good rhyme. For us to try to also remember it and show you this in action, okay? Has anyone ever used a pegging system before?
Of course.
Bob has. Who taught you that pegging system? So pegging systems are an example of an internal memory strategy, okay? They require our brain to process information at a deeper level to try to recall, okay? And with pegging systems, there's a lot of different pegging systems out there, but the one that I like to teach, and Ziggy teaches it as well, is a body peg system because we have the visual of the body parts on us, okay? So we already have a little bit of that, what am I trying to say? I'm blanking on the word. Structure. Thank you, the structure, okay? So with a pegging system, you learn a set of pre-established pegs. So in this case, it's going to be these 10 items that are written down. And we actually have a worksheet for you guys with them on there. Thank you. Sorry about that. I forgot that. There we go. Thank you.
Look at these guys.
So you learn the pre-established set of pegs, and that is the place that you are going to put information. And then you use a vivid picture, imagination, active action, associations as the mental glue to help link that piece of information to the peg to be able to recall for later use, okay? Someone, and I haven't gotten a chance to go through all of these, wrote on here, remembering to take a grocery list to the store as a difficulty that they may experience. I also have experienced that as well, and this is going to be an example to how you could remember items from a grocery list, okay? So that if you got to the store and you left your list at home, you would be able to run through the body pegs to try to recall the items that were on the list, okay? So we're gonna do this together. And like I said, the first thing that you have to do when you're learning a pegging system is you have to learn the pegs themselves, okay? So humor us as we go through these. We're gonna say them out loud together, okay, so that we can help.
And there is something to be said for actually pointing, looking, and or touching the body parts, I'm telling you. So
Yes.
we're gonna be doing that if you'd like to join.
For sure, for sure. Okay, so we'll say them, and then you say them after us. Feel free to stand, touch the part, you know, whatever. All right.
Hand, shoulders, knees, and toes.
That's right. All right, so the first body peg, we start at the bottom, we work our way up, are our toes. All right, so toes.
Toes.
Second body peg are our knees.
Knees.
Knees. Third, thighs.
Thighs.
Fourth, the rear, or whatever you would like to refer to it as. Okay.
Booty.
Yep. Next up, we have our love handles or our hips. Okay. Then we have our shoulders,
Shoulders. Shoulders.
collar,
Collar.
face. We have our point or the crown, the top of the head. And then last but not least, we have the ceiling or the sky. I get it, it's not a body part, but there's always something above us, right? Okay. Okay, so those are our pegs that we are going to use to try to hang information off of so that we can recall it for later use. We are going to use commonly purchased items from the grocery store, okay? So somebody give us some item from the grocery store. Milk, okay. We are pegging that with our toes, all right? So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna try to come up with a visualization or an active action with milk and toes. What I'm gonna do is my daughter, I just took her for a pedicure for her first like formal dance, and she said it's all the rage to have white toenail polish. I didn't know that. But in my head, I'm imagining milk, toes, okay? And that works for me because it has a direct link and meaning, okay? Something very personal to me. Ziggy, what works for you?
I was actually grossly thinking of putting your toes in milk. Like, you know, like when you like get a foot, you know, you put your foot and like soak it in water. Instead, you're soaking your toes in milk. Kind of gross.
It's kind of stinky, yeah.
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 I don't know. It just was where my brain went.
Yeah. So what that shows, right, is just because something works for me doesn't mean it works for you. Just because something works for you doesn't mean it works for me, right? You want it to be personal. You want it to have meaning, and the more kind of active and you know, even gross. Like I'm gonna remember that, soaking my toes in
it's
milk.
gross.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So next up, we have our knees. What's a grocery item?
Eggs.
Okay, eggs. Let's go with eggs. We can do yours. So for our knees, we are going to peg eggs. All right? Let's see. What do y'all think?
I immediately think of literally like 2 eggs, like as my kneecaps.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Me
just
too.
2 eggs as my knees.
Man, you can never kneel down because they would just crack, right? Okay, also I have a wonky knee that really makes a lot of noise like a cracking egg, so. What else? Does anybody have any ideas on how they might be able to link an egg to their knees? Yeah.
I was thinking like knee has 2 E's and egg has
2 G's, so like the visual with the spelling.
The
Yeah,
letters.
good. Okay, excellent. All right, another grocery item. You said apple. Did you say apple? You said apple earlier? Okay, apples, thighs and apples.
One way to reduce your thighs is eat apples, not sweets.
Okay, one way to reduce your thighs is to eat apples instead of sweets. Okay, that could work for sure. All right. I started singing in my head, this is gonna age me and I'm really sorry, I'm embarrassed, the apple bottom jeans. But I was imagining like tight jeans on my thighs.
Apple bottom jeans.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, so like tight thighs, tight jeans. Okay. All right.
I thought of balancing apples on my knees.
No,
like
not knees,
having,
thighs,
or
our
thighs. I meant thighs. I said knees, like on my lap. You know what I mean? Having apples or like picking them up and putting them on my lap.
I like that. Good. All right, another grocery item. Yes. Bread. Okay. So bread is gonna go with our rear. Man, you don't want to smush that bread, right? It's the worst when it's like put at the bottom of the bag and it gets smushed. So I imagine like sitting on it and smushing the bread with your rear.
Rear, you see L-E-A in bread.
Yeah. Okay. So again, kind of a tie to the actual spelling of the word itself. Yeah, I like that. Good.
Bread's called buns too, right?
Yes.
Bread buns.
I love it. That's awesome.
Bread buns.
Bread buns.
Love it.
Love it.
Well, it's a little high, but bread always goes to waste.
Oh. All right, give us another grocery item. Toilet paper. Okay, that's gonna go with our love handles. Okay, I'm maybe imagining like a belt made of toilet paper. Rolls. Oh yeah. There you go. Rolls. That's
of
better.
TP.
That's so much better. The rolls of toilet paper are love handles.
I actually immediately thought of, you know how they're so big when you buy like the actual package of toilet paper that you might have to like balance it on your hip
Yeah.
when you're carrying it?
Yeah.
That's what the first thing that came. I like rolls.
I like rolls too. Okay, I'm standing in front of it so y'all can't see it. Let's review them. So our first body peg are our toes, and what grocery item do we have? Milk. Yes, good. Okay, then we have our knees, eggs, our thighs, apples, our rear,
Bread.
and then we have our toilet paper. Good.
Beautiful.
Good. So good. All right, another grocery item.
Pickles.
Pickles. Oh, I love pickles.
Gross. Sorry.
All right, our shoulders and pickles. Anybody have any ideas on that one? I was thinking the same thing. That ooh, I like that. I have a house divided, and some of my family has like a visceral reaction to pickles. They're like, ooh, it's so gross. So that same kind of thing. You like shrug your shoulders. Anybody else? Does that work?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah, that works. Okay. Another item. Yeah. Meat? Just meat. What kind? Beef, chicken, turkey? Chicken? Okay. So chicken with our collar. What do y'all think? No, I like it. It works.
Chicken is
It's
good
perfect.
because I think that sometimes the harder it is, the better it is to practice that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. All right, chicken collar. What do we think, guys? Wishbone. Okay.
I was thinking of bones too.
Yeah.
Like a drumstick as my collar.
Yeah.
Like bones.
Yeah, I like it. Maybe a little wishbone necklace hanging off your collar. Yeah, I like it. Good. All right, another grocery item. Cheese. All right, cheese with our face.
Cheese. Say cheese.
Say cheese. That's perfect. You got a smile. I love it. Say cheese. Perfect. All right, what's next? Lettuce. A head of lettuce.
See,
Okay,
they're going ahead.
perfect.
They're so
I
smart.
know. So a head of lettuce that's on the top of your head. I love it. Very good.
Sorry, this is getting bad. And then the ceiling.
All right, last one. Chocolate. Oh, I love it. The ceiling or the sky. Wouldn't it be great if it were raining chocolate? Any other thoughts on chocolate in the ceiling or the sky? Sugar high. I love it. That's so good. A sugar high. Awesome. Okay, let's practice them. Let's run through the whole thing again. Our toes. Our knees. Good. Our thighs. Wonderful. Our rear. Our hips or love handles. Rolls of toilet paper. Very good. All right, now here's our new stuff. Our shoulders.
Pickles.
Good. Our collar. Chicken. Our face.
Cheese.
The top of our head?
Lettuce.
Good. And the ceiling of the sky?
Chocolate.
Awesome.
So don't forget the lettuce. The lettuce, you can even think of like a head of lettuce on the top of your.
Yeah. Good, awesome. So this is a strategy, I would say, besides writing things down, this is my go-to strategy that I use every day. And I know you may say, how do you use that every day? I live in like a ranch style house where my bedroom is on one side of the house, and on the other side is like my garage and my kitchen where all the important things are, right? And inevitably, I will be in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and my husband will say like, oh, Katie, while you're going to the store, can you get this, this, and this? And oh, please don't forget to cancel my dentist appointment. You know, a multitude of things, because that's when it's on his mind, right? And I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm like, okay. And then by the time I go to my planner and my grocery list, I'm gonna be stopped by one, if not three kids. I'm going to have the dog interrupt me, which I've got to stop and play with her. I am going to have a phone call, right? And what's gonna happen? Potentially hours could go by before I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z. So when I encounter things like that, I body peg them. And I body peg them in the moment. And it seems, for me, I've been doing it for years, so it has become just kind of automatic for me. It's hard to do in the moment, like as you're learning it, but eventually it really can become just a go-to strategy. I think about it when I'm in the car and it's not safe for me to write something down, you know? I may say, okay, yeah, I gotta remember when I get to work to do these things, and so I will body peg those things as well.
I will say, like, if you have a way to practice, like with the grocery store, like a list of things you need from the store, you're gonna have more time, you know what I mean, to actually think about that, write them down, and practice it. So like if you can do that, just to kind of get started, the more you do that, the easier it's gonna be to start implementing into other aspects of your day, not just something like a grocery store.
Do you always start with your toes?
Always.
Always.
Always start with toes?
Always.
Okay.
You always go in this order.
And even if it doesn't make sense, right? Like lettuce and head makes sense, right? So don't sit there and be like, oh, well, I've got to peg this with this. Start at the bottom and work your way up, because that provides that structure that you need, that scaffolding. Yeah.
I love the idea and your example of the 3 items and then the dentist appointment, and doing it right then. What I imagine for me is the day goes on and I don't remember, I could, if prompted, remember the body pegging thing, but I don't remember that I'm supposed to remember the dentist appointment and the body. I could pull it up.
Right.
Fast, but I don't remember.
But you need to be prompted to be,
Yeah, is there some way to
prompt it.
prompt it?
So, like for what I would do, are you like I would even maybe throughout the day, like have either an alarm in your phone or even on like your to-do list, like check the peg, check in, like a check in on the pegs. Like if you decide, hey, this really works for me and I think I really want to give it a go. It's similar to like when you write something down, you have to refer back to it, right? So maybe giving yourself that external prompt to like check in, did I have anything that I was pegging? Okay. Maybe. Yeah.
Any other questions? We're gonna talk.
What now? Couldn't you have written it down? Sometimes yes, but sometimes I don't have like my pen and paper next to me, right? And so it's holding it on long enough even that I can get to the point where I do write it down. I also use this strategy with students. I don't know if there's any students in here or anyone that has to take like certification exams or things like that. If they have to remember something in a very rote order, then this is a good way to like use this strategy as well. And sometimes individuals that maybe just have a hard time with like sequencing daily activities and they just need that reminder of like, did I put on my deodorant? Did I do this? You know what I mean? That you use this kind of as that external system, internal, external system to check in on.
You can always start out with it writing down. You can always start out with a post of what we gave you, you know, like the list of things, and then you can have that to review and practice with until it becomes more automatic. That's why I think it's important to find something that you know you can practice it with and sit down and spend the time to try to do it. Look at the order, practice the order, think of strategies that could connect the milk to the toes and how to do that. And then when you get to the store, if you have your list, try and do it without. You know, try and use the body peg to see how many of them did work, and then use your list to kind of see how many didn't work. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just a way to kind of get your brain, first off, just memorizing the body parts, which is one aspect to it. Not to mention then the next step of having to add something to that body part. But yeah, you can always have a visual. You can always have it posted somewhere to kind of get you started, you know? It takes time.
I had a patient that I worked with one time, and he made like a temporary tattoo. Like he could do these like these temporary tattoos, and he put it right here on his.
Oh my God.
He loved it so much, and it worked for him, but he just had a difficult time. I'm not recommending everybody go get a tattoo or a temporary tattoo of these, but I thought it was so funny, and I loved it. And I'm like,
really
okay,
cool.
You're really taking this to heart. Oh.
So we're gonna come back to this.
Yes. I do want to test y'all.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so we did the peg system. Does anybody remember what we pegged with our toes? Milk. Excellent. What about our knees? Eggs. Wonderful. Our thighs. Apples. Our rear. Good. Our hips are our love handles.
Toilet paper.
Wonderful. Our shoulders. Good. Our collar. Wonderful. Our face. Our crown, our point, lettuce, ceiling of the sky. Good job, guys.
Hey.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
That was an excellent session. I think it's got us all using our memories and and thinking in different ways, particularly that pegging strategy is fantastic. I think we can all use it whether we've had a brain injury or not. So yeah, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
And I know you guys wrote a lot of good questions, and I'm sorry that we ran out of time. We clearly like to talk. So if we didn't touch on anything that y'all asked, we stick around for a little bit, and then y'all can feel free to ask. Yeah.
Fabulous.
If you want to talk about these, just let us know.
Thank you so much. And we've recorded this session and we'll be able to share it as well after this event. Yeah. So thank you so much again.